level 4 judges lived, from what I know of that, lived in constant fear of being demoted. Constant. I mean, well, if you look back at the emails that were released regarding David Vogin, and you look at the emails that are available from Wizards of the Coast in making David Vogin level 0 and making him no longer a judge.
He was a level 5, right?
He was a level 5 judge, yes. And overnight, he went from level 5 to level 0. And my response was, hey, what? How did this happen? How did a level 5 judge become a level 0 judge? And the very few people who were willing to talk about it were like, oh, I'm sure it was personal reasons, which made zero sense. If you're going to retire as a level 5 judge, you can step down to level 3, which is the highest level of judging skill, right? Level 4 and level 5 weren't levels of judging skill. They were kind of community involvement, right? How much you are involved in the community, what kind of authority you exert in the community. That's how you became a level 4 or level 5 judge. Becoming a level 3 judge was always considered the pinnacle, and now it's the highest level, was the pinnacle of judging expertise. Once you became a level 3 judge, you were considered a good enough judge to be able to judge whether it was worlds or down to anything. Generally, higher level, 4 and 5 judges would do pro tours and worlds and stuff like that. And Grand Prix, you had a level 4 judge for a Grand Prix, but that wasn't because of judging skill. That was because of, these are high profile people and they were being rewarded for their work with the judge program by being the head judge of a Grand Prix.
Is there any commonly accepted, I know we can't know for sure because none of us were in the room, but is there any commonly accepted reason by judges why he was demoted from 5 to 0?
The official reason was that he he decided to just become a tournament organizer and was not going to be as involved. That was the official reason. The unofficial reason was that his relationship with Helene Bourgeot had deteriorated, and so this reason, the Helene Bourgeot reason, was considered by a lot of people, personal stuff that they just did not want to talk about. It was about a breakup of an affair 2 married people were having with not their spouses. And so a lot of people, if a lot of people who think that David Vogin becoming a level 0 was somehow justified were convinced that was the reason, and for some reason I can't comprehend, they thought that it was appropriate for David Vogin to lose his level 5 status despite being a volunteer for 12 years in order to earn level 5. It was fine for that private relationship breaking up for David to go to level 0 as opposed to Helene Bourgeot no longer being employed by Wizards, which is what would have made most sense to me, because she, as an employee, certainly knew that Hasbro has a very tough sexual harassment policy, and it was from what I know about sexual harassment law, it was not an appropriate relationship for her to be having as the person leading organized play with a level 5 judge.
Well, even, I mean, yeah, let's say I mean, I guess we can't know for sure if this relationship was happening. It sounds like there's more than just you who knew about it. It's just too, it's like at worst a conflict of interest, or at best a conflict of interest, and at worst just a situation that's rife for special favors and special treatment, right?
Well, like I was saying, for a long time, there were only 3 level 5 judges. When David became level 5, he became the 4th level 5 judge. And I think at least some people felt that this was related to his personal relationship with Helene Bourgeot. I don't think that at any point Helene went to Hasbro or Wizards of the Coast, or in her official capacity went, oh, well, I have a relationship with David, so let me make him level 5, and that was somehow acceptable. Or I no longer have a relationship with David, so he gets to be level 0, and that is somehow acceptable. And that's why I never accepted that reasoning, and certain other people did not accept that reasoning.
Did he come out against? So it sounds like to me, let's just work the theory that maybe something was going on between two married people that shouldn't have been, but it really, I can see how that's not like, oh God, as a employer, you're like, oh Jesus, like I don't really want to be dealing with this. Somebody's got to go. And I guess I could see that. And like whatever people do in their personal time, whatever. But once it happens in the workplace, then it's a little dicier, especially in the situation where it's not like one person worked in the mailroom and the other person worked in shipping. We're talking about some people with influence. Did he come out again? Did he come out and refute this at all, or did he just go away?
So David was simultaneously a professional tournament organizer and a level 5 judge. And the announcement was that he was going to continue to be a PTO, professional tournament organizer, which was a source of his livelihood. And he was just not going to be involved in the judge program anymore. Of course, after a while, he became completely persona non grata and completely thrown out of the judge program. Look, one thing I have to say is, while this is something a lot of people believe, especially higher level judges, I don't believe that the reason David Vogin lost his judge certification was because of that relationship. And I'll explain to you exactly why. You don't become a level 5 judge without being able to work with people you find difficult, without being able to control yourself, being able to deal with a professional relationship as opposed to a personal relationship. And frankly, I don't think that Helene would have been able to get to her position if she was doing this type of thing where her personal relationship with someone interfered with her work. So it's funny that, as critical, and I am very critical of Helene, as critical as I am of Helene, I think that the people who are her supposed supporters seem to think far less of her than I do, because I don't think that she elevated David to the position of level 5 just because of her relationship with him. I don't.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I
It
don't.
seems really unlikely, right?
Yeah, I don't think that's likely at all, and I think it would have been a lot more obvious if she had done something like that, and a lot of people would have, disliked that a lot more. Because you don't just get to be a level 5 judge just because somebody likes you. Um,
Well, yeah, well, probably happened. I mean, I see this stuff I work in the business world, and I work with people that travel a lot, and I know people who have had or are currently having affairs, and in every case, at least while it's going on, it never affects their ability to do their job. They're just two people who work together who happen to be sleeping together, in my experience. But now when things go south, then things become messy.
well, that is the idea. The problem with that idea is two things. First, the last message that David Vogin sent to the judge list was something that, with my legal background, I was able to see was very problematic for Wizards of the Coast. And that email I was told by people with more direct connections to Wizards than I have, that email was the reason that he was demoted to level 0. And that makes a lot more sense to me. It certainly makes more sense on behalf of Hasbro deciding to make him level 0 as opposed to an emeritus judge or down to level 3. And that is what I think the reason for it was. Now, when I was making a big deal about the situation, I wasn't able to say that as clearly, partially because I didn't want the question of, hey, was what happened to David Vogin fair, to revolve around whether or not my theory of what happened was right or not. I didn't want to have those two separate things getting together. My theory was, and continues to be, that he lost his level 5 position because of the email he sent.
Do you have any idea what do you think it was? And if you don't want to go into it, just say that's cool. Do you think this was on his way out the door that he sent something bad?
No. He sent something to the list, which was arguably not his place to do so, and okay. That was the reasoning that in the private emails between with David, we see them talk about. It is one of the reasons they talk about for demoting him. But if you do believe, as I do, that Wizards of the Coast was very, very worried about the legality of the judge program and how the judge program was proceeding, and their plausible deniability of knowing their liability, right, for paying for judges. The fact that a level 5 judge sent the email that he did, acknowledging the legal problems that Hasbro what might have with the judge program, is what I believe was the ultimate reason that he lost his level 5 status. A lot of people will disagree with me on that.
Well, I can see how it would be, at least be plausible, right? Like not being there or not seeing the email. That's interesting. My guess is, as with most things, when a big company wants you gone, they make it happen.
One
And
thing I have
maybe,
to say about the email was that it went out on the level 1 judge list, so it was distributed to about 5,000 people. And when we used to have the judge archives available, we no longer do. That email was publicly available.
okay, that means it's still out there somewhere. The interesting thing is, okay, so as far as we know, I think I'm gonna separate this into two parts. This because that whole section was really interesting. So as far as we know, he just kind of went away, and he's either doing TO stuff. He never sued them, or he never fought the fact that they demoted him, at least publicly. So maybe, do you think it might be, one assumption might be, or one theory might be, yeah, they demoted him, but they gave him some reason not to say anything about it.
I think pretty much everyone agrees that the reason he didn't say anything at the moment that he lost his level 5 certification was he was promised to continue being a TO.